There we go. We're live just like that. All right. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Mikey, the host of the Kansas City Pioneers podcast. And with me, as always, Mr. Alex Laughlin, the Chief Operations Officer. How you doing, Alex?
Good. How are you doing, Mikey?
I'm doing pretty good. And also joining with us in the special guest spot is the CEO himself, Mr. Mark Josey. How are you, sir?
What's going on, gents? How are you?
Enjoying life. I think I got a cat hair in my mouth here, but I do have the door closed, so we shouldn't receive any cat interruptions. But all right, so to kick this episode off here, it did just say that we're live, but it says that we're live with KCP Halo. Unfortunately, I wish it would just come up with the Pioneers podcast, but it is what it is. But so we're doing this live episode. This is our first time doing a live episode of the Pioneers podcast. And to start it off, man, we're going to come straight from Mark right now. So what is it like being the CEO of an esports team? What does it look like for you? What are the things that you are handling behind the scenes?
Oh my gosh, that's a big question, huh?
Yeah.
I think most importantly, my job is to make sure that everybody from our players to our content creators to our leadership team, everyone is representing the brand, feels good about what they're doing, and trying to go out there and win championships and recruit great talent and protect. I think, wow, that's a crazy good question, right? That's what's on my mind anyways, right? How do we make sure Kansas City Pioneers is here in 50 years? That's what's on my mind.
Okay.
Right? So that looks like a lot of things, right? It's the day-to-day, it's talking to your leadership team, it's dipping into streams, it's, hopping into Discord and send some messages, obviously social media. And then, you have just the kind of the day-to-day, where you're talking to your sponsors and your partners, and depending on if you're raising capital, which we closed our first small, cap raise not too terribly long ago and just entered into a new one. So you're talking to, a bunch of different things, I guess. Oh my gosh, what a question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. What a question.
Right off the jump.
And actually on top of that, for the folks who don't know, you are also the CEO of Social Apex. And we actually talked about it a little bit. I believe it was the first episode, but we didn't have too much about Social Apex at the point. Would you mind talking to us about what Social Apex is and what it does for KCP?
Yeah, exactly. So Social Apex Media is a marketing company here in Kansas City. It's just a small, group of really interesting, talented marketers, right? For lack of better terms, we connect brands to the modern consumer. So what we do is strategy and brand positioning, and then under brand positioning, you're looking at content creation, social media management, and paid media management. And so there's the three things that we do. And in terms of how that plays into the Kansas City Pioneers, really a lot of the higher end content that you see comes from video-wise, comes from our agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at some of the DoorDash commercials that we've done, if you look at some of the announcement videos for Chiefs player Andrew Wiley, represent, let's go get it from Tampa Bay tomorrow. Some of those kind of videos you'll see are Social Apex. So.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start dipping into the growth of KCP now. But to start it off, we did just compete right now. I believe it was a 1K tournament for Halo, and we did just come in first place. Manny just put in, he said, thanks for letting us stream on the Twitch. And he said, have a great podcast. Appreciate you, brother. But first of all, we won in Halo. So I don't know if you guys are both watching, but I was definitely watching because, I love Halo.
Yes, sir.
And then we're also competing in Rocket League today as well for, I believe it's called the Winter Split, correct?
That's correct.
Yes, you got it, man. Lot going on.
Okay. So before we start diving into everything, let's talk about this whole Q&A thing and how it's pretty much going to work. Alex said it might be a good idea, but I'm thinking about 30 minutes into this episode, we'll start diving into all the questions that are asked. But maybe after every other topic, maybe we can dive into one of the questions that are sitting right there. And since, Mark, you've been talking, we got one question in for you, man. How do you grow an insane beard like that? Said Mist.
Ooh, said who?
Said Mist. It came in from Mist.
Oh, my son missed. Okay, not literally, but figuratively. You know what? I think here's what's really interesting. So when I'm talking to a lot of our, sponsors and partners, and we're introing like, hey, what's going on in my life? There's pre-beard and there's post-beard. So pre-beard for me is I ran. I worked my way up at Verizon. I ran, 4 or 5 states for sales, marketing, operations, moved my family all around, no real beard. Then I got recruited and reported to the president of Sprint, where I developed brand and strategic partnerships and did a lot of cool things, flew around the country and crossed 4,000 doors and, really interesting responsibilities running a P&L for, multi-billion dollar P&L and have an incredible, team to support and no beard. Right. And then, and then at one point it was like, this is not what I think I want to do when I'm 70. And so I started a consulting company, and then the beard started. And then the beard grew. And then as I realized that, like, hey, from a corporate America perspective, like, I don't have to look like freshly shaven Mikey, except for the mustache, except for the stash, right?
Yeah. I'm trying.
And then it just started growing, man. And you just got to let it go. You just got to believe in the beard. You just got to believe in it. You just got to let it happen.
The beard.
Yeah.
That was me with the mustache. I really had to believe in it, because when I first started growing this right here, it just wouldn't grow. And I was stressing out because I had 2 separate mustaches. And I'm like, what's going on here? But finally, it just started coming in.
Yeah. You got to believe, man. Rome wasn't built in a day. And that wonderful mustache or this beard or Alex's, relief. He looks like a relief pitcher for the Royals. Like, send him in.
There we go.
Send him in.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Shout out Royals. There we go.
That's a good question. Just wash it and take care of it. Beard oil works once it gets to a certain length. You know what I mean? Gotta condition it, wash it, take care of it, man. Like anything, let it grow. Give it some love.
Absolutely.
My son.
I wish I can grow a beard, but I'd walk in with a beard and they would just be like, "What do you think you're doing?" But that was a good question. And then to follow that up, for anybody else who has any questions, just feel free to enter them in, and then we'll be diving down and looking at them all. So whenever you have a question on your mind, just post it. We'll see it right here. So the growth of KCP. We haven't done a podcast in, I think, about 2 months. So we have a lot of stuff to talk about. One of the things I wanted to talk about was the signing of the Halo team. And of course, they won today, which was awesome. So can we just briefly touch on how the signing of the Halo team even came to be? Either one of you can answer, whichever one feels like chiming in.
You know what, Alex? Go for it, man.
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
happy to tell it, but go for it.
So we have some incredible, scouts, talents in our esports department. Shout out to LJ, Chief Gaming Officer, and Eddie, aka Perpetrate. He's come on board, and he's been an incredible addition. And so they're always scouting. Whether we're gonna sign a team next week or next month or next year, like, we're always looking for the best teams and talent out there. And we've kind of understood, and this, Mikey, like, Halo Infinite is, even though it got delayed, it's getting ready to drop here in the next couple months, and we truly believe that it's going to be a big game, and it's going to be the resurrection of Halo Esports. And there just so happened to be a team out there that was kind of like, they weren't necessarily established, they were like kind of growing, but they weren't these big names that had been around the scene for a while. And that's kind of like that KCP and Kansas City as a whole, right? It's that underdog team. It's that team that can kind of prove everybody wrong. Kind of how, like, our Rocket League team, they came out of nowhere last split, so shout outs to them. But yeah, so basically that's what ended up happening is we just kind of, it came together. The brain trust of Eddie and LJ kind of brought this offer to us, and we kind of looked and saw what the opportunity was going to be like, and we just went ahead and went through with it. And they've been incredible ever since. I mean, I think in the season 1 championships, they tied for 3rd place, and they went up against the best of the best, and we're super looking forward to Infinite dropping and seeing what they can do for us.
Yeah, and I can watch Halo all day. So you already know that I was ecstatic to find out that we signed a Halo team.
I heard you cried.
Yeah, right. No, yeah, I definitely cried. But tears of joy, of course.
Of course.
But you also mentioned Rocket League, and as of 2 days ago, it was brought to my attention that we reached, I think it was top 5, top 6 in the North American League for Rocket League. Can somebody verify that? I want to make sure I'm not saying anything incorrect here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
How's that for you?
That's amazing. That is amazing. But
Yes, sir.
I've never watched Rocket League prior to us having the Rocket League team. I've never really like tuned in myself, you know. But then I remember the first couple games that I watched, just I don't know, something about it. It's just so intense. It feels like you're actually watching a sport, and that's the beauty of it. But yeah, the Rocket Leagues are great, and that's real fun to watch. Do you guys have anything else you want to touch on about the Rocket League team?
Sure.
Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think for those who don't know Rocket League, it's very fun and exciting, and you should definitely watch it. I'm going to make it sound super simple. It's not, but it's a car kicking a soccer ball into a goal, right? Like, sounds super, super simple, but I can assure you it's not easy like anything, right? Like, and so where we're really excited about our Rocket League team is, one, they're incredibly talented and super competitive. We're thinking of them as like a pillar, right? Like in Kansas City Pioneers, like we're hanging banners in our Kansas City Pioneers, stadium, internal right now. But like, we really feel like that we can keep this really talented group of guys together. And then they can go out and win, North American splits and the worlds, right? And then, you take a step back. So we're fortunate to have a very talented, successful team and a coach and, a sub. And that's been incredible. And then Rocket League just in general has exploded. Maybe about 2 months ago, they hit about 1 million concurrent viewers. So, at one point.
2 million.
2 months ago? 2 million?
No, 2 million.
2 million.
I think it was about 4 to 6 weeks ago. They went free to play through the Epic Games Store, which of course is also runs and owns Fortnite. But yeah, it hit 2 million, it's incredible. Like, that's
so
a
2
lot.
million. Yep. So think about 2 million at any given time. You're just logging on and able to see. And Alex mentioned that it's crossplay, so it doesn't matter. If you're on your PlayStation or your Xbox or your tower, right? Like, it's all compatible, which is pretty dope. And then it's free to play as well. So then that's been very helpful. And it's exciting, it's fast, and you're just seeing a lot of adoption because of all those things we just mentioned, right? Like, anybody can play, it's free, it's cross-platform, it's pretty easy to understand, it's really exciting to watch, super hard to master, right? But and then you're just seeing different kind of sponsors starting to come in too, right? Which is non-endemic to esports, right? Meaning that you're seeing Verizon sponsor Rocket League, you're seeing Geico put commercials in it, right? So I think it's a really fun piece of Kansas City Pioneers, and we're really, really excited to have our Rocket League team and our Halo team too. But yeah, from a Rocket League perspective.
And don't forget,
cool.
Shout out Beast Mode Mac from Kansas City, our Madden player too. We love them all. We love them all.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is that the growth of KCP within the last few months, we also got Beast Mode Mac competing, and I watched it. It was really kind of stressful, but I mean, hey man, it was a good thing to watch. It was also weird too, because it was the Cardinals playing against the Cardinals, so you're kind of watching it like, well, now wait a minute, does this happen in real life? But it was pretty cool to watch him compete in that. And I've never watched professional Madden ever too, so that was pretty neat. But speaking of growth and challenges, I can actually put this up on the screen, so I'm going to do that right there. There it is. So nobody asked, what were some challenges you experienced during the beginning of forming KCP? Mark, I don't know if this was geared towards you, but I guess Mark and Alex, you guys can both actually dip into this question while we're talking about growth.
Happy to answer, like Mr. Nobody. So yeah, I think the challenges are to, really, I think that the challenges are, one, how do you build something that's going to last? And two, how do you build it with the right people and really scaling the right way, right? So a lot of, startups are like, you're just seeing this crazy rocket ship trajectory, right? And then it plateaus and then you go again, and you go again. How do we build an organization that, represents diversity, equity, inclusion? How do you build an organization that reflects the community in which we serve? And the community meaning esports community, and then also the community of where our folks are at, right? Like, obviously we're in Kansas City, but we have fans across the world, and our players are across the US. And people in our team are different parts of the world. So, I think those are some of the challenges, right? Like growing the right way, not taking the bait early on with potential wrong sponsors. And there, sponsors that aren't great fits or partners that aren't great fit that maybe would be great in the short term, but maybe not so much in the long term. So I think, continue to being transparent, continue to be authentic to some of those things that we mentioned, and do it with like super awesome people. Again, like sounds really easy, but you can imagine there's a lot of moving parts in there. So those are very difficult. And so the challenges are, how do you get, it's a little bit of hurry up and wait, right? Like when do you make a press release, or, when do you go after, a ginormous national sponsor, or when do you, how do you determine what your raise is, in terms of how much money you're going to raise, and what does that look like? What is the P&L, and, how are we tracking with some of those things? So, it's a real organization. It's 50 plus people that are working to make this like a dream for all of us, and a really interesting community. And that comes with a lot of responsibility and certainly a lot of challenges.
Okay. Alex, what about you? During the forming of KCP? What challenges did you experience?
Yeah, well, I think Mark hit it on the head with everything. Like when you're looking at it from an outside perspective, it's what do you want it to look like now, and what is it going to look like in a year? What is it going to look like in 10 years, right? And as Mark kind of hit on, and I won't repeat a lot of that, but it's just like there's so much that goes into it. Everything from like the day-to-day processes, especially for me as chief operating officer. But it's like ultimately comes down to is the culture that we're building, the teams that we sign, do they fit in that culture, and how are we building it with our fans and our community? And that's the biggest thing for us is like, you want to go a mile a minute, and you usually have to work a mile a minute, but that doesn't mean the results come every day. Like you have to put in the baby steps every day, but like there's going to be good times and there's going to be bad times, and you have to stay even keeled no matter what you do, because like we know with the team we've kind of, from what we started with to the 50 plus we have now, if everyone continues to put in the work and we're steering the ship, like we're going to get there. And so we just got to, as leaders, continue to make sure we're telling our story the right way and building the right processes. And I mean, I can't speak for Mark, but I know when we were just a year ago to where we're at now, it's absolutely incredible. Like the progress we've made and what we've done, and the things that we're doing now behind the scenes, like it'll blow your guys' minds. Trust me, it's crazy.
And with the whole community and touching on all of that stuff right there, I think this to me, this is beautiful. But we just recently did a 1K for KC, which was awesome. And we were able to use our community to reach out to the Kansas City community. So can you guys touch a little bit more on that? I think we raised just about $1,000, correct? If not more, for a Kansas City family, correct?
Yeah. So one of our partners at Social Apex is Charlie Hustle, which is here in Kansas City, and we're excited to be their partners. And they came up with an initiative of 1K for KC, which was sponsoring families who needed help with mortgage or rent through these difficult times. And so we had a charity stream, and we had a couple of pros and big name Call of Duty and big name folks, some professional athletes, some terrible people, right, in terms of like I would be probably one of those. But we ended up raising like $1,300 in 3 hours, I think, which was really cool. Yep. So like that's just a really good example of us saying when we reflect the community that we serve. That's something that's really important to us. So you'll see like part of our core values is to, help and give back and amplify messages and voices, I should say, through Kansas City Pioneers. And it was a really cool experience, right? It was really neat to see everyone's generosity come in. Small donations add up, and that adds up to helping someone feel better during this time, right? Some family, and we're proud of that for sure.
And then talking about the Kansas City community and reaching out to a whole bunch of folks, we just signed, and you said it earlier, we signed Andrew Wiley from the Kansas City Chiefs. Who wants to talk about how that came to be? Because that's pretty intense right there.
We'll let the star guest go ahead and take care of that
Star
one.
guest, this is on you.
Yep. Where are they at? Who's the star guest? No, you know, like we have great people that work at Kansas City Pioneers, right? Like we have great teams, whether it's Beast Mode Mac playing Madden 2017 champion, whether it's, you know, our Rocket League team, or it's our just recently signed Halo. We were in Gears for a little bit. And they do such a good job of representing on and off the field. We have an entire like insanely group of creatives in our org, and just the content they make, the graphics and the overlays and the anime, like everything from top to bottom, they're insanely talented. And I think that makes people kind of take a look, right? And it's not lost on us that we have 3 other sports teams in Kansas City, right? And we're, you know, our goal is to continue to be recognized as the 4th one in Kansas City. But, you know, you have, in no particular order, you have the Kansas City Royals. Shout out to Alex wearing the baseball hat. You have Kansas City Chiefs, and then you have Sporting KC, right? And so we really feel like we fit in as kind of the 4th professional org here in Kansas City. And so, you know, stick and ball athletes play video games. Spoiler alert, right? Like, you know what I mean? They're like, I mean, that's how you decompress, right? Or that's how you have a good time with your friends, right? They're no different. And so we were able to have some good dialogue with Andrew Wiley, who's, you know, Super Bowl champion, playing tomorrow, protecting Patrick Mahomes every play on the O-line, you know, picking up Cheetah in the end zone, like patting Kelsey on the head. Like, it's incredible to think. And, you know, he wanted to be a part of the charity stream. So he and a couple of the Chiefs guys, I think it was all the O-line.
I think it was Austin Ryder and Mike Rimmer. So shout out to those guys.
It was Ryder and Rimmers and Wiley. That's right. You're exactly right. And so that was exciting. And then, you know, once you learn a little bit about like, hey, what we're trying to do, the vision, the values, the mission, it became pretty clear that he was like, I love what you're doing, man. Like, let's do it. So now he's one of our streamers, you know, and he might stream Call of Duty. He might stream Rocket League. He might, as recently, I think he opened like 100 Pokemon cards or something like for a while. So, you know, yeah, we were happy. Obviously we were thrilled for him to come on board. And yeah, so anyways, there you go.
All right. Yeah, I like that. And then the first couple episodes, I remember talking to Alex, and he was talking about being a city-based team and how you guys were coming up with that everything that goes along with that, right? And then he talked about how not only do you guys just want to be an esports team, but you guys also want to reach out to the KC community just in general. So we probably hit it on the head a little too much, but I mean, if you guys feel like we haven't, we can discuss it a little bit. But what are your guys' hopes for like the future between building a, you know, unity between KCP and the KC community? If that makes sense, unless you need me to elaborate, I can.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, we spoke about it a little bit. I think it's one, creating opportunities in Kansas City and figuring out how we can be a part of an ecosystem that brings economic growth into Kansas City, from, you know, tournaments to jobs to, you know, other esports, like on the front end, the back end, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So that, you know, means that there's opportunity. And then that's one of it. And then two of the second part of it would be like, we kind of talked about the charity and the community engagement. And then the third part of it is like, there's a lot of, you all right?
Yeah, I had to move forward.
Get comfy, my guy.
I just don't want to lean too far back and then you can't hear me, you know, because it'd be weird for me to talk and you don't hear what's coming out.
No, don't fall over. I wouldn't do that either. I'm twisting away, so I'll stop doing that. But I think that this is the first live stream, so this is what people. This is what's happening. But I think that bringing economic growth to Kansas City, bringing opportunity, creating what we would call maybe like a farm club for not just players, but, you know, we kind of mentioned some of the things that go into running an org, right? And we've recently partnered with like University of Missouri, Mizzou, to figure out a way for, like, you know, from a B2B perspective, or from, you know, their business program, or to figure out how some of the things from their really incredible esports program can translate into going to like the pro, right? So creating, the next step opportunity, so when you're, assistant athletic, trainer or athletic coach at high school, then you understand the hierarchy, right? Like you can eventually you're like, hey man, I'm athletic trainer for the Chiefs, which is amazing, right? And I started in high school doing this. So there's a lot of succession in that, but I think we talked about like in terms of like the philanthropy and giving back and connecting to people and being the Force Sports team in Kansas City. There's a lot of synergies between, supporting the Chiefs and the Royals and what we do. And then that economic opportunity to come to Kansas City through an esports vehicle through Kansas City Pioneers is pretty incredible. Because there's no reason that we couldn't have huge tournaments here. There's no reason that we couldn't, down the road be a Call of Duty, one of the very few Call of Duty teams in the CDL, right? Like, and back from a Midwest perspective. And what I didn't say earlier is the Midwest is pretty underserved in terms of like representation with esports, right? Like, you hear a lot about, and I won't name them, but like, there's some really interesting geo-based orgs out there, which we compete against and love. And then there's also some large, insane mammoth, like old school esports orgs that everybody's familiar with. And most of them are on the coast, right? So you're seeing a lot more come into geo-based or area-based, and we're pretty excited about that. And we think that we're obviously working hard to put Kansas City on the map because there's a lot of reasons to do that. So,
well, you mentioned Call of Duty, and Alex, you can chime in after this too about what you hope for building everything, unless you feel like Mark hit it on the head. But we're getting questions every now and then, so let's take a look at this right here. Mint said, "Are y'all getting a Call of Duty team?" Is there an answer to this question, or is this a?
Go ahead, Alex.
I think that's there's multiple ways we can interpret that, because Call of Duty has, as we know, the biggest is the CDL, like a $26 million franchise spot.
Yeah.
So to that, I will probably say in the next few months, no. But in the future, if the opportunity presents itself, absolutely, we would be interested in diving in. But I mean, there's no reason why we potentially couldn't field an amateur team or something like that, because Call of Duty also has a massive amateur scene that competes in big prize pools, some bigger than other esports. So yes, eventually I think we'll get in there, but I mean, there's no guarantee. It really just depends upon, what opportunities arise, what esports we're really thinking about getting into, and how, Eddie and LJ, who I hit on earlier, how they're feeling, like who are they scouting, who we've been in talks with. And if the opportunity fits for us and fits for the team that we're looking at, then we'll just, go into whatever that takes us. So, but that's a good question. I mean, COD is always a hot topic. But yeah, and to kind of touch on Mark's point, because I was interested in saying it was like, he's right. Like all the big orgs, most of the big orgs are on the coast and in Texas, and we have the opportunity to kind of educate and provide and build a community in the Midwest that it's all for the taking. And like, I think that's a very good opportunity for us, because we do have fans and staff members all over the world, but we have lots of people who join our Discord every day. If you're not in our Discord, join our Discord. It's on our Twitter bio. But we have the opportunity for, I know it's like almost a shameless plug, right? But we have the opportunity for, like, we have people from, not just Kansas and Missouri, since we serve Kansas City, but, Iowa and Nebraska and Oklahoma and even like north parts of Texas. Like, they don't have esports, local gaming communities or professional orgs. And we are the team that is closest to them. And so they kind of gravitate toward us. And so like, we're totally excited. Like, I know our logo is #MyCity, but like, my city is so much more than just Kansas City. Like, it's the community that we build, the community that we serve, and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to represent. So I think it's a really good. So I know that was kind of a little longer anticipated on the COD thing, but you just never know. You just never know. We'll see what happens.
No, of course. And here you guys go. The Twitter's right down there. Pioneers GG. Speaking of that, can we talk about the fact that we lost the underscore? I think that might be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It's so clean now. So
on
clean.
Twitter, because Twitch still have it. But hopefully Twitch just became available, but like as soon as we're available to apply for it, yes. But you're right, Mikey. It's so clean, isn't it?
So clean. All right, so we had another question come in, and I don't know who wants to be the bearer of good news, but somebody asked, if not COD, Halo.
Well,
Can somebody
JT.
fill them in?
Yeah, so JT is actually from Kansas City and is a big supporter of our Rocket League team. But obviously he wasn't here earlier. So
Of
JT,
course.
we do have a Halo team, and they just competed in the Halo 5 Open Pro Series tournament today, which they won. So we do have a Halo team, and you can check them out on our website. There's a Halo section, so if you want to go check out their Twitters and Twitch, feel free to go support those guys as well. So
There we go. And for the folks who want the Discord link, Mr. Nobody Awesome put that link inside of the chat, so feel free to check the chat, and you will find it right there. JT said, literally just looked at the website. RIP my Googling skills. Well, it happens. It happens to the best of us, man. It happens to the best of us.
We're here to serve.
So let's talk about something a little even grander scale here. So we pulled a sponsorship with DoorDash. I'm curious. I'm curious about all this stuff, of course, but also for the folks who are also curious, how did that DoorDash sponsorship come about? Who reached out to who first, and how did all of that come to be?
Well, what I will say is that there's a lot of work that goes into making sure you're a good fit with a partner, right? A sponsor. And I talked about it a little bit earlier, which was like, hey, what does it look like and sound like, or what were the challenges, right? Like, and one of them is like making sure that the things that you're doing, represents who you are and makes sense, right? Like it's authentic and it's future proof, right? Like it's not short lived. It's just not a one shot. It's just not something, that our community doesn't believe in. And so what a better fit for us to partner with DoorDash, right? Like you don't want to leave your stream, right? Like everybody is using DashPass and DoorDash and stuff. So it's very real to what, our fans and our pros and our internal team, like it obviously makes sense. And then broader, it's really that we find a really interesting way to help DoorDash engage in the esports community, right? Like, so I think it's specific to a lot of brands right now that are looking, hey, how do we engage esports? Like, what does that mean? What does that look like? What does that sound like? What from a marketing perspective, everybody's looking for the 18 to 35-year-old demo, and inside there's some more valuable to some than most, but let's say Gen Z, right? How do we engage with Gen Z, and how do we find where they're at and stuff? And so companies, I think of it as like companies that didn't take social media serious 10 years ago. We're at a precipice right now where brands need to take esports very serious. And not in terms of like LAN and participating and stuff, but in terms of like how we consume content, right? Like how the modern consumer consumes content, particularly in that demographic, right? Meaning this like, we want, we expect, I'm not Gen Z, but they expect, I won't speak for them. I'll take off my marketing hat. But what I will say is it's an opportunity for us to like communicate to a larger audience and using our, fans and our pros and a conduit to do something that's like makes sense for us to have a partner, right? Like you're not going to see Kansas City Pioneers partner with like Larry's used mattress farm, right? Like that's gross. And what is that anyways, right? Like trademark pending. The LLC is in the works. No, but like, it's something that we look at. We have a great audience. We have a very, great fan base. We do really cool stuff. I shouldn't say everyone, but there's a high propensity that, folks are using DoorDash anyways before the partnership. So it just felt really good. It felt like an opportunity for us to help them dip their toe into esports by sponsoring a team, and at the same point, for us to make sure that we're doing it with cool people that we would support and use anyways, right? So,
You talked about finding Gen Z, but with this new generation, I think Gen Z finds you. But look at me trying to say a good joke, right? But
that's very true. Good job.
So yeah, I mean that just about wraps up the whole entire episode there. But just a couple last things to say. I mean, 35 minutes in, take a look at that. But both of you guys can chime in on this. But what are you guys' vision for the future, and what do you guys hope to achieve going into 2021? Because that's right around the corner somehow. Don't know how, but 2020 is already over. Thank you.
I know it's a long year. It seems like. Well, fortunately for us at KCP, we've been every day. It's been a crazy roller coaster of excitement at every turn, and so it's been slow because we know what's going on in the real world, but it's been very fast because we've been moving a mile a minute over here.
Yeah.
So I think moving forward to 2021 without like tipping our hand too much, it's one, continuing what we're doing, supporting our teams. So let's go bring home some trophies like we did today. But two, it's continuing to build upon the successes that we've had with DoorDash, with Under Armour, with Social Apex, and continuing to tell our story and just continue to build what we've already had, like the foundation wise. So what does that really look like? Maybe it's getting into new esports, maybe it's going out and getting some new partners. Hopefully it's continuing to build partnerships with the Charlie Hustles of the world, maybe with the Royals, maybe with the Chiefs, who knows, right? It's just continuing to bring awareness to people all over the Midwest and Kansas City of what we're trying to build here. And I think we're really on the right path. But I didn't want to take up too much of the thunder that Mark's going to hopefully bring. He is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. What you were saying, too, with the start of that, you were talking about every turn. We've been having crazy things going on. And I remember just our last episode and the episode before that, we talked about how all this COVID stuff was starting and just everything that's going on. And you were talking about how this is the time to hit it hard. This is the time to really go at it. And I really feel like we did hit it hard. Like it's just insane. Okay. Yeah, insane the last couple months for sure.
I think COVID was honestly, I don't want to say, this is probably the wrong word, but the phrase is like blessing in disguise, right? Obviously COVID is not a blessing, but I think it provided an opportunity for esports to kind of enter the forefront, especially at the beginning of the pandemic when all the sports started shutting down and people were looking for new ways to consume content, consume entertainment that they were without sports for a while, and live TV shows and movies that were happening, those were all shut down. So where did they turn to? There was a lot of people my age, I don't want to say my age, but I'm not a Gen Z, I'll say that. And they were getting back into video games and getting back into what they did as a child. And now they're kids who grew up with this technology, grew up with tablets and phones in their hand, and which is why they say it's like you only have like 8 seconds to capture a Gen Z's attention span, because like they have 1,000 things going on and they grew up with all this incredible technology. And I don't want to get too much into the statistics, but it put esports at the forefront, and esports content, that's also consuming Twitch and YouTube, even if they're not professional players. Like people literally will watch people play a game on Twitch or watch their tutorials on YouTube than they will watch traditional stick and ball sports. And so I think with what we've had this year, it's really it was already growing at an exponential rate, but I think it really accelerated the growth, even without the incredible in-person LAN events that esports has. But it just really shined a light on like, this is an emerging industry that people like DoorDash or other brands, whether they're in it or not yet, like they really have to take into consideration that like, how do I reach my next generation of consumers? What are they doing? What are they watching? And I know Mark touched on that earlier, but I think it really puts the spotlight on esports. And even with, traditional sports back, it's like esports is here to stay. It's proven that it's not going anywhere. So I think we've like you touched on, I think for us, we've been very fortunate that we have an incredible team, everything from our pro teams, leadership, the creative, everything, and all of our wonderful content creators that do an excellent job for us. Like they're continuing to build the brand, spread our message. And we took advantage of this year. And I think 2021 it's only up from here. All gas, no brakes, Mikey.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So Mark, I'm going to propose a decision for you here. Okay. No, I'm not going to propose to you. I'm going to propose a decision. Okay. So we got an interesting question that just came in right now. Do you want to answer that question first and then dive into your vision for going into 2021? Or do you want to dive into your vision and then we'll save that question for last?
Let's do the vision. Let's do the vision.
Do the vision.
And
let's
then
do the vision.
We'll do the Q&A because Alex is already talking about it. I think
I like that.
What Alex said is spot on. I think what we need to continue to do is to grow, to do it with the right people and to do it with the right sponsors, to do it with the right investors, to do it with the right, like just always do it with the right things, right? Like, and I know that sounds like super simple, but we want to keep it really grounded and stay true to like who we are when it was, you know, LJ talking to Beast Mode Mac, and then bringing Alex on, and then bringing, you know, Sam and myself on, and then bringing Jeremy on, and then bringing an insane creative team, and then going out and do it. Like, you know, it just kept steamrolling, but always it was like our North Star of like, yeah, we have a mission and vision. But if it's not real, if you don't believe in the culture, if you don't believe in your mission and vision, then like, what are you doing this all for? Right. Because like, one, I think it's fascinating. Two, I think it's insanely exciting. Three, it's the future of entertainment, right? And consumption of content. And then, yeah, esports, no doubt, is here to stay, right? Like, it's not going away. And I think Alex is right that the pandemic shed light on like, hey, man, people are working from home, and you saw the switch, you know what I mean? Like, blow out where people were looking to grab that, and like, you know, they're fun. It's easy to connect. It's, you know, more people are going to be on Discord, and then they're going to be on Facebook, like, in terms of engaging, right? Like, that was a crazy, you know, you get what I'm saying, like, not literally. But what we believe is that, you know, the Kansas City Pioneers, you know, need to continue to stay true to who we are. Look at the different sports that make sense. Look at the people that we want to grow with, continue to attract, you know, top tier talent, right? Like, as our organization grows, we're going to continue to need, you know, people here to make it run, right? You know, to make really good decisions, to support each other. And, you know, the vision will be to continue that trajectory of the rocket ship, and do it very thoughtfully in the right way. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. And then just to say my little piece too is I just, obviously, like you said, staying true to ourselves. I really hope that we always keep that family aspect, because we preach it in just about every episode that this team is a family. You know, you hop in that Discord and you always have somebody that you can come to and ask them a question. Or if you want somebody to play a game with, just hit up the chat, and all of a sudden you're playing with somebody, you know, you're enjoying and having a good time, and we all care about each other, which is the coolest part about the team. And then, of course, going into 2021, yeah, we all want to grow, you know, we want to keep going, and we want to keep reaching out to folks and helping people out, and everything in between, right? But I also do want to say that I'm very humbled to have the opportunity to be doing what I'm doing right here, and doing this live stream, doing this podcast. This is insane. So going into 2021, yes, my vision too is to be able to continue doing these and bring this to the community. But this is awesome. This is insane. This is a small dream of mine that I had, which is just insane to be doing this live, but it's awesome. And here's this awesome question. So we got the question in from Runicity, but somebody also pretty much put the same question on Twitter as well. But Runicity said, in the coming years, do you guys ever want to have a facility like 100 Thieves? And if so, is it cool if I get my own cubicle? And after that, Service Truck also said, do you anticipate having a team house for players at some point? So we could probably, I'm sure, dive into both questions. Well, you guys can. Sure. I don't know, but you guys can.
I mean, the short answer is yes, for sure. Like that, without a doubt. Like, the longer answer is, you know, what COVID has done is shown that while the LAN, you know, revenues and opportunities for people to get together have obviously been impacted, you can still run, you know, huge tournaments and see crazy people engage, right? Like, there was 100,000 people watching Rocket League earlier, right? Like, you know, is that the same on stream as it probably being there? No, but it's not meant to be, right? So I think we will continue to look about like how we make interesting experiences for our players and for our fans. So yeah, for sure, and for sure, Steven, like Runicity, your cubicle is close to mine. You've helped me out a lot, so I appreciate it. For sure, like yeah. So you know, and there's like, what does it look like to make 100 Thieves, right? I think they're sponsored by Cash App, maybe.
One of many.
Cash App. Yeah. One of many, right? But there's a giant whatever. so yeah, I think it's really cool for us to hang some banners in, and you know, have our team come in, and different teams come in, have an opportunity for our fans to come in. You know, so yeah, of course we would, I shouldn't say yeah, of course, but yes, like, it is definitely a plan of ours to have like some version of Kansas City Pioneer house compound stadium thing.
Compound stadium. There we go.
Yeah,
And then hey, Killzone just said that he's happy to donate Red Vine's Kind Bars and local beer to wherever this establishment happens to be.
I mean, got to start somewhere, and I'll take all of those. Like, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, definitely. People still get together though in KC. You know, we've had a couple videos come out. They had the ping pong challenge that they had, which was pretty cool. But everybody still links together when they can to make content. Zyrtek's killing it with the YouTube content, and I mean, everybody in KCP's been killing it though. Man, it's been absolutely insane these last couple weeks. Before we call off the episode, is there any last minute things you guys want to say or last minute plugs that you want to put in? I just said the same thing twice, but you know me, I talk a lot, right?
Sure. I mean, I'll kick it off. I mean, I don't really have any plugs. First, thank you to Mark for coming on the show and providing insight from a high level. You know, it's not every day you get to talk to the CEO of a company. Well, I do, but the rest of everybody else doesn't get to talk. We're
just put them on a pedestal right now.
It's a family environment here. That's what we do. We hype each other up around here, right? That's what we're supposed to do. But no, I mean, really, I think first of all, also shout out to you, Mikey. You know, I know we started together with doing the recorded version, and now like this is a whole new experience, and I love it. I love being able to do the live version and interact with people in Twitch chat or Twitter. Periscope or whatever the official word is. And then, we'll obviously get this up on YouTube as well. But I think it's great. It just continues to what is KCP going to do next? Well, we were doing recorded podcasts. Now we're doing live shows, live podcasts. Right? So shout outs to you both. I don't have any other personal plugs. You both deserve some congratulations.
There you go. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. That's right. Wow. I don't think about. I think the plugs are. It's the three legs of the stool, right? Like, there's probably more legs, but it's our fans. So our fans are one leg of the stool, right? Like our internal Kansas City Pioneer team, just incredible talent and. All that they give above and beyond. Like a lot of times you talk about from a leader's perspective, what do you look for when you're building a team? And you want people that give you additional discretionary effort, right? Like that's what engagement is. So we have a highly engaged and talented group of people that give additional discretionary effort every day, right? Like one extra whatever post, one extra hour on making an overlay, one extra something or other graphic to do, one whatever in Photoshop. And, so I think that's the second thing. And then, and the third thing is, our pros that go out and smash it, right? So, which are obviously part of Kansas City Pioneers, but, those are the three dynamics that we're very excited about. So, I think the shout out is it's the group of people that work really hard every day, that don't get to come on the podcast, that don't, probably they get internally credit and we say, hey, thank you a lot. Right. And I try really hard to dip into streams, no matter if you're, partnered and verified on socials for us or you're a Chiefs player or whatever. That's just as cool as when you have 3 viewers for us, you know what I mean? Like that, for some of our, streamers that are starting out. Right. And so that's just really cool because, we believe in our community and we believe in our team. And I think that's the shout out, right? That's the thank you. If it wasn't for, our team and if it wasn't for our fans and if it wasn't for our pros, we wouldn't be sitting here. Right. It's just very, very true. So it's a really good cycle, but again, it's just an honor to do cool stuff with cool people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's as simple as that, right?
And I mean, everybody kills it in the team. So I don't see why at some point, I don't think everybody in the team has had their opportunity to be on the podcast and say their piece, because everybody puts in the most amount of work. So, and for me, plugs would be obviously the Twitter. We put the Twitter up a little bit ago, but Pioneers GG at Pioneers.gg. Okay. You're going to find a lot of our Rocket League snippets that we're going to be putting up there. And obviously you'll find the links to everything else. But obviously if you're watching on Twitch, you know that we stream some of the Rocket League stuff here on Twitch. But you can find a lot of snippets, a lot of clips, and a lot of cooler stuff on Twitter as well. And then, of course, our YouTube. I don't want to screw this up. Can we get the it's probably just Kansas City Pioneers for YouTube, correct?
If you just YouTube Kansas City Pioneers, it'll
Kansas City
it'll be
Pioneers?
the first channel
Okay,
there.
because that's usually what I look up, but I wanted to make sure it's not Pioneers GG or something, and say the wrong thing here.
No.
Yeah, well, to follow that up too with the YouTube, this show should be put up on YouTube in the next couple of days, so you'll be able to have the opportunity to hear what we said previously as well, if you choose to do that. But we're also putting a lot more YouTube content up on YouTube at the moment too. It has been a little bit on hold though because of COVID. Things are raising up right now, but we're figuring everything out. Obviously, we've heard about the vaccine, so we're hoping things can look better coming into 2021. So, and I actually got offered to take the vaccine. So I rose my hand. I said, yeah, sure, I'll take the vaccine. So looking forward to seeing what happens there. And Mr. Nobody Awesome did just say, yes, it is Kansas City Pioneers. So my mistake, my apologies. I will own up to that. But that completes the episode right here. So ladies and gentlemen, we hope you guys enjoyed. And it was a pleasure to be doing this for you. So we will see you guys next time.
Thank you, everybody.